Good afternoon and welcome to LFS for our second day of championship action. And we have a bumper programme for you this afternoon. 8 games live from the EFL Championship. Our focus game is at the Kassam Stadium as newly promoted Oxford United host Norwich City, who faltered at the playoff semi-final last season to Leeds United. And we will have all other 7 games, live updates, all the goals and action as it happens. You'll not miss a single moment from any of the 8 games on the AFL Championship this afternoon, where we will have all 12 games in focus this weekend, including 4 live commentaries of those games right throughout this afternoon. Right, so all the 12:30 kickoffs, a few minutes away from getting underway. Our focus game, as I mentioned, at the Kassam Stadium. Oxford United, newly promoted back in the second tier of English football for the first time in 25 years, and they face off against the side Norwich City, who've been up and down around the leagues over the last number of years, but they couldn't get back to the Premier League last season, faltering, as I said, in the playoff semi-finals against Leeds United, who themselves ultimately did not find a trip to the Premier League. Let's have a look at the full roster then for 12:30. We start with Cardiff Cities. They take on Sunderland. 2 sides pipped for possible relegation this season and to be the lower end of the table. They face off at lunchtime. Hull welcome Bristol City. Portsmouth head to Elland Road. Leeds United, of course, lost out in that Championship playoff final last season. They're looking to get off to a winning start under Daniel Farke in the new season. Middlesbrough could be one of the favourites or one of the hot toppers to be in the top 6 or even the top 2 this season. They host Swansea. Watford head to Millwall under new manager Tom Cleverley, the full-time head coach now for Watford. Millwall, they're hosting them. Oxford United Norwich, as I mentioned. QPR against West Brom is another one of our matchups, and we also see Coventry's trip to Stoke City as well. 2 games coming up in the following days, one tomorrow and one on Monday night, as you can see at the bottom of your screen. And last night we actually got officially underway with 2 good games at Ewood Park and at Deepdale. Forgot the name of the place there. A 6-goal thriller between Blackburn and Derby. 4-2 victory for Blackburn. John Eustace's first home victory in charge of Blackburn. And Sheffield United back to the Championship, back to winning ways. They only have a point on the table. We'll explain that later in the afternoon. But Sheffield United 2-0 winners away at Preston. Right, let's have a look at the teams then for our focus game this afternoon. Oxford against Norwich. And newly promoted Oxford, this is their first lineup under Des Buckingham in the Championship. Jamie Cummings starts in goal. Sam Long, Elliot Moore the captain, Kieran Brown and Joe Bennett start in defence. Cameron Brannigan and Will Vokes make up the midfield defensive 2, with Ruben Rodriguez a bit further forward. Tyler Goodrum and Primislav Placheta make up the wingers, with Mark Harris their centre forward. For Norwich, losing out in the playoffs can be tough, but it's about bouncing back. Angus Gunn starts in goal for them. Jack Stacey, Grant Hanley the captain, Shane Duffy and Callum Doyle make up the defence. Kenny McLean, Liam Gibbs and Christian Fastnacht are the midfield 3, with Marcelino Nunez, Boya Sainz and Josh Sargent leading the line. It's Oxford against Norwich, another side pumping up from the 3rd tier, and a side that just missed out on top tier football. Oxford against Norwich kicks off our 12:30 kickoffs in 8 games in the Championship next. A very good afternoon and welcome then. We're about to get underway for a whole host of fixtures this afternoon, and don't worry, we'll keep you up to date with each and every scoreline from around the grounds, everything that is happening, and we have our match focus game. We've had a choice. We're going to keep you up to date with all 8 matches, but we had a quick look. What match catches your eye? And we've picked out Leeds against Portsmouth is going to be our match focus, so we're going to have the live match mapping of that one. Occasionally throughout the afternoon, we'll have the live table on the right hand side of your screen, all the live scores on the left hand side of your screen, and all the live commentary of this one at the Kassam Stadium that has just got underway. Oxford in their home strip of yellow shirts and navy blue shorts, and Norwich in their away strip this afternoon of white shirts this afternoon. So interesting indeed, shall we say. But of course, it's going to be exciting. The Championship's back underway. We have a new season, and we're hoping for quite a number of goals this afternoon. I'm expecting goals because, you know, usually the Championship always delivers with that excitement and interest, but also at the same time with some very good quality teams, and we're looking forward to it this afternoon getting underway as the games start to roll around and get underway. Then this afternoon we'll keep you to date with every single scoreline from around the grounds. You will not miss a single moment here this afternoon on LFS whatsoever. Well, Norwich have a new man in charge, of course. David Wagner did say that enough was enough and did leave after their defeat in the semi-final of the playoffs. And Johannes Thorup is the new man in charge of Norwich City, and hoping to bring them that the championship success that they want on the short term, but maybe a look towards top flight football once again. Norwich, known as that yo-yo club of the past, they've been consistent in the championship at upper mid-table side over the last few years, Norwich, and it's interesting to see, you know, starting the day away at a newly promoted side. The only newly promoted side at home was, of course, this weekend. Derby and Portsmouth both getting trips away from home to start their championship campaign. But Oxford getting that home support, the Kassam Stadium, a well-known, strong, supporting crowd inside this stadium, and they're witnessing championship football inside this stadium for the first time in 25 years, and an incredible feat for Oxford United, and we're going to absolutely love watching this afternoon because, you know, we love seeing those new clubs, those clubs that haven't been in the division in a long time, showing themselves, giving themselves kind of that no pressure on them as they break down the right hand side here. Here's Goodrum looking to bring it across and all the way through the 6-yard box, and Harris just could not flick it in. That is incredibly close. The flag goes up in the end, but that's a massively close moment. Goodrum completely free as a bird on that right hand side. Norwich commit lots of bodies over to one side and they leave Goodrum unmarked on the right hand side, and the cross comes in. It's low across the 6-yard box. Everyone is beaten, and Harris is just looking to side foot it, but he completely misses it. The flag did go up anyway against him, but I mean, that was incredibly close, and a worrying early sign for Norwich that Oxford are going to try and find a way through them, and quickly. And we'll see how they do that. But that was a massive early moment for the home side. Of course, it would be a big deal if one of the newly promoted sides do get something on the opening weekend. Relatively difficult teams. I would have said Derby probably had the best chance last night, considering the fact that before kick-off last night, John Eustace didn't have a victory in charge, a home victory in charge of the club, in charge of Blackburn. Oxford have a difficult task and a good Norwich side, but you never know. Norwich away from home, they weren't convincing at times last season in those moments. And Portsmouth away to Leeds, although Leeds did make Ellen Road somewhat of a fortress last season. It kind of crumbled down towards the end of last season, but ultimately Leeds, Ellen Road, a tough place for Portsmouth to go in their new terms. So it's not going to be easy for any of the newly promoted sides. And of course, I did mention it multiple times last night, the gulf in quality between League One and the Championship is not as big as what it was. Although, they break down the left. Here's Rodriguez looking to cross one in. Again, headed away by Grant Hanley, getting his head to it to get it clear. But Oxford applying a good early bit of pressure here on Norwich. Brannigan looking to lift it into the box. Again, not convincingly cleared away by Norwich as it comes out to the right hand side of Goodrum. Looking to weave his way through. He's still going. Back to Volks. Volks to deliver into the box. And the target there at the back post was Placheta. And that one's headed away by Jack Stacey and out for a throw into Oxford. Very impressive start from the home side. No goals elsewhere at the moment, but all 8 games underway in the Championship this lunchtime. As I mentioned, all 12 games. We will have updates from this weekend. 4 live commentaries, as I mentioned, throughout this weekend. We do have both games for the final final matches of the weekend. Sheffield Wednesday Plymouth tomorrow at 4 o'clock, and then Luton Burnley on Monday night at 8 o'clock. So those 2 games with live commentaries from Hillsborough and from Kenilworth Road to end the opening weekend. Certainly going to some historic grounds. That's a lovely bit of work there from Josh Sargent for Norwich as they try and break down the left-hand side. Here's Sainz trying to flick it across, trying to go into the box, but well marshalled back there by Elliot Moore, the Oxford United captain and centre-back, and he puts it out for the Norwich corner. Good break down the left-hand side. The first real bit of attacking play that we've seen from Norwich in this game so far. Up to this point, they have been almost exclusively in their own half in the early moments. The Canaries and Oxford have had the vast majority of the early possession. And they do have a corner here, which Marcelino Nunez will take. Left-hand side for Norwich City. Right-footed delivery. It's high into the box. It's deep. And again, had to be headed away by Elliot Moore, who got his head in the way. Cleared it out to the right flank. I think it will go for a throw-in. Decent delivery by Marcelino Nunez there. Got it right into the mix. In and around that 6-yard box, but strong defensive header from Elliot Moore to get it away from danger. Nunez, who's just taken the corner, will take this throw-in on the right-hand side. He's going for the long throw. Looping into the box. Up from Duffy. And across as it falls, the shot takes a deflection. It actually helps out Oxford to try and clear their lines, but Kenny McLean will pick it back up for Norwich. Hanley. Duffy. And now Nunez as Norwich just try and get a bit of possession and take a bit of control in the game. That early little spell of good possession for Oxford, that little promising set of moments will be a positive sign that they will certainly take confidence and encouragement from. And we'll see if they can continue in that front as Norwich try and play between the lines. Doyle tried to go for the early cross there, but again, Elliot Moore in the way. Puts it out for the throw-in. Ball's fizzed into the box once more. Lots of bodies in there, and Sargent was stretching for it. I think it got a deflection off an Oxford player, I believe. It was Fastnack that was also joining in there. Didn't get a connection. No deflection. Goal kick. And the way the camera angle worked there, it looked like they'd given a corner, but goal kick is the decision. Right, elsewhere, 7 games, as I mentioned, 7 other games underway in the AFL Championship this afternoon. We'll keep you up with everything that's happening so far. Not finding their shooting boots in the early moments so far. No goals to tell you about elsewhere. But let's quickly, while we are with a bit of a stoppage in the game, let's head over to Elland Road. Leeds against Portsmouth, currently underway at the moment. Leeds dominating the early possession, as you would probably expect from the Elland Road side. As it's still 0-0, but Leeds controlling the ball. One early shot, really, but nothing convincing in the early moments. Nothing of real danger to worry about. Gruev had a shot from a long range, but didn't really come to nothing. 0-0 there. Right. Back here at the Kassam Stadium then. And it's Oxford that have got wrestled back the possession once more and into Norwich City's half. Bennett to Placheta. Back it comes to Brannigan. All the way back to Brown. And now Moore. Out to the right hand side for Sam Long. Try to break forward, but well closed down. Although Oxford do keep possession for the moment. Volks Try and play it across midfield. Did well there to hold it up well. Did Brannigan. Now Joe Bennett, the left back. Moore. Now Volks. To the right flank, Goodrum. Run mid beyond him. And he gets the carriage of the ball. Keeps it alive. Look to lift it into the box. And Norwich do have bodies in the way as Hanley gets it clear. And now Sargent tries to spin on the counter. Crossing the halfway line. Having to go backwards though, and instantly putting his midfielder under pressure there. And now they're trying to break forward here with Harris, or Oxford. In behind for Placheta. To get another chance at it. It's the keeper saved. It's fizzed across the box all the way through. That was again a good positive moment for Oxford. Good high press. Not great at all in the midfield there. I'm trying to see who it was. I think it might have been Nunez. He got the ball under real pressure, and the ball was just really poor. Underhit pass, latched away from him. Good pressure, and then on the left-hand side, Harris played it into Placheta. He got two shots at it. The first one hit the chest of the keeper, and then it came right back out to him, and he fizzed it right across the 6-yard box and goes out for the throw-in on the opposite side. But a really positive moment there for Oxford, where they could counter-attack on Norwich City. And a bit of a weary moment there for the Canaries. We have the first goal of the afternoon. And to say that we've picked the right match is exactly right for our match focus, because our first goal of the afternoon has come at Elland Road. Leeds United have taken the lead against Portsmouth, newly promoted Portsmouth from the 3rd tier for the first time in the 2nd tier in 12 years. And they have conceded inside 10 minutes. It's a penalty from Pascal Stroik that has given Leeds United the advantage early doors. There, it's Leeds United 1, Portsmouth 0. So, our first goal of the afternoon. Love to see it. And hopefully, it kind of opens the floodgates in that sense. And we get a flurry of goals here this afternoon on the lunchtime kickoffs. Oxford have come the closest here at the Kassam Stadium. So one newly promoted side conceding, and one here coming very close to scoring. And of course we haven't talked about Leeds. Leeds, as I said, lost in the Championship playoff final last season. Oh, that's not great. Pass back to the keeper. Goodness me. And Jamie Cumming has to palm up behind, but that was not good at all from Sam Long. It's one ball over the top from Marcelino Nunez. And Long headed it back. Cumming tried to come and grab it himself. Miscommunication between the two in Oxford colours. And Cumming just has to palm it out for the corner to save any sort of embarrassing red-faced moment, because it could have been an open, empty net. But ultimately Norwich will have to settle for the corner. That was certainly far from convincing defensively there from Oxford. The referee just sorting a few things out. Andrew Kitchen is our referee this afternoon here at the Kassam Stadium. Just having a chat with a few of those players in there. Corner delivered in by Nunez again. First header from an Oxford player as McLean picks it up on the edge of the box. Kenny McLean looking to lift one in himself. There's headers in there, and Hanley's header simple enough for Jamie Cumming to catch. No real pace or power behind that one. And an easy catch indeed for the Oxford keeper. So one goal scored this afternoon in our 8 games. Leeds United, as I was mentioning, of course, lost in the Championship playoff final at Wembley last season to Southampton. I think they have to be, we regarded them as one of the most unlucky sides last season, because they broke the record for the most, or joint record for the most points without a top 2 finish in the Championship. 90 points they finished on last season, Leeds United. That's a terrible back pass, and Sargent didn't make the most of it. Hit it straight at the Oxford defender, but living dangerously, playing out from the back there, the home side. get away with it again. Brick down the right hand side. They want to turn defence into attack. Down the right flank as the ball's lifted into the box. Again, not convincingly clear that time. Brannigan finds Placheta. Has to come wide on the left hand side to keep the possession, but does so well. Former Norwich player, of course, Placheta. Moore. Oxford, a few nervy moments at the back there. That header back from Sam Long that gave away that cheap corner, and then it was just a short back pass. I couldn't see who the midfielder was, but they tried to pass it back to the defender, and completely unawares as to Josh Sargent's positioning. Sargent just broke free, got into the space, but didn't make the most of his shot. Luckily, Oxford had bodies back, but it could have been a nervy moment for the home side there. And luckily for them and their fans, it goes unpunished. So far we still continue goalless here at the Kassam Stadium, but goalless no more at Loftus Road, where there has been a goal between QPR and West Bromwich Albion. QPR who toyed, I say the very least, with relegation for the vast majority of last season, did evade relegation in the end, and it looks like they're going to be starting with a win, because they finished with a real strong finish to the Championship last season, QPR, and they've got off to a goal-scoring start. They've got the first goal of the game there at Loftus Road. Lucas Anderson has given Queen's Park Rangers the lead against West Bromwich Albion. So does QPR 1, West Brom 0. In that one, home sides faring pretty well so far. Oxford will know that, from what we've seen so far in this game, they're not afraid to play out. They're not afraid to go toe-to-toe with Norwich, but at the same time, sometimes that can be a bit naive. And it's all about making sure that they don't give away little mistakes. They don't make those little lapses of judgment and lapses of concentration, like we saw from Derby last night, where they end up paying the price for it. I've just seen that QPR goal. Really good header by Lucas Anderson. Lovely cross. And the header was fabulous into the back of the net. That gave QPR the lead. We're keeping a very close eye on all of those games this afternoon. As I mentioned, all 8 games. Updates from all 8 games here on LFS this afternoon. So do stay with us. Great to have you with us this afternoon, because we have this full roster of Championship action. It's great to have the football back, and the AFL Championship is one of the most exciting and absolutely exhilarating, adrenaline-thrilled leagues in the world, in Europe, as Kenny McLean gives away a free kick here. So Oxford with a set piece inside the Norwich half, just about in the Norwich half. It's not massively threatening, but a good position indeed. And they've taken that free kick short, out to the right hand side with Long. Now Goodrum under pressure, forced back. Long again does well to just play it back to Moore. Not really rush things early doors, just passing it around Oxford. Bennett, Placheta, lovely spin. Brannigan looking to switch it out to the right hand side. That's a lovely cross, and that's a beautiful touch by Goodrum. Into the box he comes. Goodrum looking to finish, and gets the deflection. Will be a corner. Really well watched by Shane Duffy, who put it behind for the corner. Fabulous bit of play from the left to the right. Placheta plays it around the corner to Brannigan, and Brannigan switches it out sweetly to Goodrum on the right hand side. Beautiful first touch, and trying to weave his way through, and ultimately tries to go himself from the narrow angle, and well blocked off by Shane Duffy, but he gets a corner out of it. We have a goal at the Cardiff City Stadium. We'll get to that in a moment after this corner is taken for Oxford on the right hand side. So bodies in there that can threaten right-footed delivery, and the header was travelling, but just too much height on that one in the end by Elliot Moore, and it goes behind for a goal kick. As I mentioned, goal at the Cardiff City Stadium to tell you about, and these two sides, Cardiff and Sunderland, are under a bit of threat because early season predictions have them both in a relegation battle. So much Cardiff predicted to finish bottom of the league. Sunderland predicted to be in and around the mix. But so far, it is the visitors that have taken the lead. Cardiff City falling behind at home once again. Luke O'Nien, who scored quite a number of good goals last season for Sunderland. He's got his account for the new season underway, and Sunderland leading away at Cardiff City. Although it's very early in the season, these two clubs, considering where their positions are to be in the season, a result here could be very crucial. If it does end up those predictions coming true, it could be points in a game like this. Could be very crucial. But of course, very premature and very early to say that at the very least. But Sunderland leading on their trip to Cardiff this afternoon so far. Also, Leeds are leading Portsmouth by goals to nil at Elland Road, and QPR are 1-0 up against West Brom. Elsewhere, all the other 5 games, all goalless at this moment in time, including our game here at the Kassam Stadium, Oxford against Norwich. It's been one of those games so far where Oxford have probably created the better of the chances, but Norwich, you feel that they could score at any single point. It's one of those where it's a bit strange. It doesn't look like Norwich need to dominate possession if they're going to want to score goals. There are spaces, there are gaps, there are opportunities available to find those spaces and to find those opportunities to get those goals. It's not that it's going to be difficult for either side this afternoon. There's spaces out there, most certainly. Neither side have really given me much confidence to believe that they can keep a clean sheet this afternoon with some of their defensive displays, but we'll see in due course. 22 minutes gone. Goalless here. I would say, on the balance of things, I don't think either side have really taken control of it, but I would say Oxford, on the balance of things, have probably been the better of the two sides, ultimately, so far. Norwich, again, at times, struggling to keep the ball, struggling to really kind of do very much with it on the in possession, but kind of on the counter-attack, both sides look strong. So Oxford's counter-attack maybe slightly more kind of aggressive than Norwich City's, but of course nothing to say about that just yet. Brannigan picks up the loose ball, finds Long out to Goodrum, linking up with Brannigan. Well, finds Sam Long, who goes for the deep cross. Placheta was the target, but Jack Stacey had it covered and headed it behind for the corner. A goal at the Den this afternoon. Tom Cleverley takes charge at full, kind of on a full-time basis, of Watford this afternoon in his first away trip, and that's a trip to Millwall. Millwall, who underperformed quite a bit last season at times, and they're so far this season not off to a good start. Watford have taken the lead in that one this afternoon. Watford lead by a goal to nil. Edo Kayembe has given Watford the lead as Volks whips in this corner for Oxford. It's not the best of headers at the back post, but Norwich do get it away. Stacey will pick it up and try and play them into a good attacking position, but well closed down was Borja Sainz there by his opposite number, Placheta, former teammates of course. Oxford on top says, come on Oxford. Support for Oxford in the chat then. I have to say the home side have looked pretty impressive so far in spells. Moore to Brown. Out to the left hand side is Bennett, but couldn't find that pass down the flank as Kieran Brown heads back into the mix, but Oxford can't keep the possession once more as Stacey picks it up now for Norwich. Hanley into the middle for McLean. Now finds Sargent, who has to come a bit deeper. Fastnack now. Down the left hand side it comes. Good bit of play from Norwich. A few goals going in elsewhere. We'll get you that in a moment. Fastnack looking to deliver into the box. A late run from Stacey, but well covered over by the retreating Placheta, who got it behind. It's a good bit of tracking. Spotted the wide run of Jack Stacey. Just sees that cross coming in and gets the afterburners on. Gets back into the box, and puts it behind. As I was mentioning then, goals galore to tell you about around the grounds. I said that maybe we've got kind of the floodgates opening. We usually see it at times. Middlesbrough have taken the lead in that one against Swansea City. Middlesbrough 1 up. And another goal at Elland Road. We'll get to that in a moment after Norwich take this corner. Deep to the back post. The header is off target. Not much of a threat on that header. As I was mentioning then, so Middlesbrough have taken the lead in their game at the Riverside against Swansea City. That goal coming from Emmanuel Latte-Lath from the penalty spot. Also then, as I mentioned, an equalising goal at Elland Road. Leeds United, who took an early lead, they scored the first goal of the afternoon in our 12:30 kickoffs. Well, they've been pegged back once again. And they're Portsmouth get themselves back on level terms. Elias Sorensen has levelled things at Elland Road in the 23rd minute, and Portsmouth have their first goal in the second tier of English football for the first time in 12 years. Portsmouth are level at Elland Road. An exciting moment for those fans in that one. So far, another ground where there's been an equaliser is at Loftus Road, and it's no longer did QPR take the lead, then West Brom find that equaliser. So West Brom are back level. Josh Maja, the former Fulham player, has got West Brom on terms. So it is 1-1 in that one, QPR and West Brom. Lots of goals around the grounds at the moment. Oxford on top says 25 years, man, this is special. Come on, Branners score some goals. I'm guessing that's Cameron Brannigan. And he's been quite comfortably involved today. Oxford on top says, can you update more on the Coventry game, please, as all my mates support them and I hate them. Fair enough. So far there is no update really from the Coventry game. Stoke 0, Coventry 0 in that moment, but it's Stoke that are on top at the moment. Stoke have had the majority of the chances, 7 shots to Coventry's 1 so far, just over 50% possession for Stoke. So Stoke certainly on top of the Bet365 Stadium, but no goals to tell you about between Stoke and Coventry. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, also Hull and Bristol City are the only other 0-0 alongside our game, although Oxford could change that, and the ball has found the back of the net, and Oxford have taken the lead. 25 years in waiting, and they get their first goal in the Championship as the Championship at the Kassam Stadium. A huge moment for Oxford United. They've been threatening of it all afternoon so far, and it is a really sad moment. It's a terrible moment for Norwich defensively, but a great moment for Mark Harris, who has taken that goal to give Oxford the lead. It's a break down the left-hand side. I was talking about the other games. Break down the left-hand side. Runners in behind. Hanley gets completely in a muddle. Gets sent to the ground. Harris does incredibly well against him. Sees the man away from danger. Gets the ball down into the box. Takes the touch with his right foot around Duffy and straight through the legs of Angus Gunn to give Oxford United the lead. Back in the second tier. And back with a bang. Mark Harris giving Oxford the lead at the Kassam Stadium. Oxford 1, Norwich City 0. What a moment it is for Oxford United. 25 years in the waiting. And that is a fabulous moment. Certainly got the Kassam Stadium up and bouncing at this moment in time. What it means for a generation of Oxford United fans that have never seen this, that haven't witnessed this before. They're witnessing it today, and they're witnessing it with joy on their faces at the moment. Against Norwich at the Kassam Stadium, but a long way to go. It's been a long time coming. Oxford United, as I mentioned, it's been a long time out of the Championship. They were relegated in the 98-99 season. Of course, they actually won 5-0 on the final day, but it wasn't enough. Results didn't go their way. They did all they could. They actually needed to win by 4 goals that day. They won 5-0, but ultimately results didn't go their way elsewhere, and ultimately they find themselves relegated to the 3rd tier. But they're back, and they're not wanting to lose their grip, and certainly not wanting to be heading straight back down at the very first time of asking. And I'm sure that Des Buckingham and all of the Oxford team will be hoping the very same. And they've played relatively well so far. They did really well in that 50-50 duel between Hanley and Harris. Really well worked, and an incredible moment. Really well worked by the centre forward, and it's those little smart moments that you can't really kind of legislate for at times. Johannes Thorup, the new Norwich head coach, will want to kind of stamp his authority on the side and kind of get his football being played by the Norwich team. Of course, I've had a number of managers over the last few years, but that consistency will take time to get there. And at the moment, a trip away to a kind of an unknown factor, in a sense, a new side, a different side in the league, a side that will feel the kind of joy of being promoted. It's going to be tough for Norwich in this game, and we know, and we've seen it so far. 31 minutes gone, and it's not been easy plain sailing at all for Norwich in the early moments. Very far from that. And so far, Oxford making the most of that. Right, Oxford on top says they have been in League One for my entire lifetime. There you go. A whole generation of Oxford United fans witnessing Championship football for their club for the very first time. We have a bit of breaking news to bring you this afternoon. This is fabulous breaking news. Championship, or Premier League news to tell you this afternoon. We're all about the Championship, but of course we do keep you up to date with the transfers, and this is the big breaking news this afternoon. Tottenham have signed Dominic Solanke from Bournemouth for £65 million. That's just confirmed in the last few moments, and he's joined the club there from Bournemouth. £65 million. It's an initial fee of £55 million, rising to £65 million. That's the big breaking news this afternoon. So clearly, Ange Postecoglou wants a new centre forward, and he feels Solanke can get there. Goodness me, Oxford almost double their lead. Again, Wolf Oaks came very close. That's dreadful goalkeeping from Angus Gunn. We saw an awful mistake at Deepdale last night where the goalkeeper was punished. Angus Gunn just plays it into midfield, completely wrong foots his midfielder there. Terrible. Awful. Kenny McLean couldn't get anywhere near it. Wolf Oaks takes the shot first time, strikes it, but couldn't get it on target. But if it was on target, it was hitting the back of the net, and it was going to be 2-0. But ultimately, just goes wide under the pressure there from Wolf Oaks, and it's a close moment. And again, another worrying moment for Norwich, where they're really getting in a muddle at times and not convincing at all. Just to confirm for you, that signing for Bournemouth, or for Tottenham, from Bournemouth, Dominic Solanke, 6-year contract. So the long-term kind of option, it seems, he will be at the North London club for the near future at the very least. And a very good signing for Tottenham. Of course, looks like they've found their long-term replacement for Harry Kane. And Dominic Solanke getting the big bucks out of that one. As Norwich try and break down the left, there's a good run from Sainz. Bodies arriving into the box. Sainz cuts it back. Fastnack trying to take the shot. Blocked. Good, well headed away by Kieran Brown. As Placheta was trying to battle there with McLean, but McLean came out the better and won the throw in. Played it quick. Just over 10 minutes to go with the first half. Oxford 1, Norwich City 0. At the Kassam Stadium in Norwich again. Gifting possession back to Oxford. And one that Oxford will just take with bated breath, and we'll just relax with the ball once more. 2 games so far then without goals. Hull and Bristol City and Stoke Coventry are the 2 games that haven't seen a goal as of yet. Elsewhere, as I mentioned, Cardiff 1-0 down at home to Sunderland. Leeds and Portsmouth locked at 1-1. Middlesbrough are 1-0 up against Swansea. Millwall have gone behind at home against Watford. They're 1-0 down. Oxford 1-0 up at Norwich against Norwich. And QPR 1, West Brom 1 are the games with the goals at the moment. Out of our 8 championship fixtures this lunchtime. Fastnack tries to dart it in behind, but again miscues the pass and ultimately then gives away the free kick, of which Cameron Brannigan will get and Oxford will take momentarily. Again, another breakdown in midfield. It's just a simple pass and it's just really wasteful from Christian Fastnack. Tries to arrow it out to the left flank and completely underhits it, easily blocked off by Sam Long, and then ultimately Cameron Brannigan gets the free kick out of it. Pretty wasteful move again in midfield from Norwich, but Oxford again get the benefit of it and looking to end this half strongly, Oxford United. I'm just witnessing Leeds have come close to retaking the lead there. Wilfred Nonto had a good chance inside the box but couldn't take it. Ultimately still 1-1 at Elland Road. And our focus game this afternoon, our match focus game, as you can see with the match mapping of that one. Leeds 1, Portsmouth 1 at the moment. As I mentioned there, Leeds coming very close to retaking the lead, but it is still at 1 apiece at Elland Road. We'll update you as if anything changes there. So far, the stats not pretty even on quite a number of fronts. The possession slightly in Oxford's favour. Norwich have had 1 more shot than Oxford, but Oxford have had more shots on target, so it's kind of in the balance in those senses between the 2 sides. Very little between them, although that's an overstepping at the back there from Oxford, and now Norwich looking to pint. Sargent gets it from Sainz, but Sargent dragged it wide. There's forced wide on the left hand side. Has to recycle it back to midfield. McLean out to the left to find Callum Doyle. Doyle to lift it into the box, headed away convincingly once again. Kieran Brown as Placheta tries to be the out ball and ultimately gets in a tussle with Marcelino Nunez, and Norwich win the throw in. The last touch came off Placheta there. Oxford latching upon a poor mistake again in the midfield by Norwich. Kenny McLean at the heart of it once more. Here's Goodrum. Now Vokes. Vokes will shoot! And he'll test the keeper. It was a straight strike by Will Vokes. Much better strike than his previous one. And it did test Angus Gunn. Really good. Find the space. And Vokes just decided to shoot. It's a good effort. Straight down the throat of Angus Gunn. He was stretching. Had to make the save. Throw in from Bennett. More positive from Oxford once more. Certainly not looking out of place at all, the home side, in this battle with Norwich. It's the key component, the fact that they are in the balance. They are keeping this game kind of well balanced, as I mentioned, and they do lead, which is crucial. They've got something to hold on to, something to really grasp, which probably Derby didn't have last night. I mean, they were at 1-1 at one point in the game, but there was a lot of disruption in the second half. It was kind of an itty-bitty game, but Derby didn't have the lead at any point last night, so against Blackburn, so a different scenario here this afternoon for the newly promoted Oxford. Compare that to Derby or even Portsmouth, who have both found themselves behind in their respective games at a certain point. Free kick there for Oxford, given away on that left-hand side by Boya Saints. Bit of a wasteful effort. And Oxford have a free kick here. A chance to whip a ball into the box. Just under 5 minutes to go the first half. They would incredibly love to double their lead. They've taken the free kick short. The cut back. The low cross. But it's just too close to Angus Gunn. It's a threatening low cross into the box from Will Volks. And just couldn't find a teammate in there. Could only find the hands of Angus Gunn. Just a bit too close to the Norwich keeper. As Norwich trying to break away. McLean almost gives it away again. Nunez. Back to Hanley. Duffy. Nice ball through the lines. Finding Liam Gibbs. Gives it out to the left-hand side to Saints. Looking to get them on the front foot now, Norwich. Saints looking for the cross. And tried to sneak it in the near post himself, actually. But just hits the side netting. And a pretty disappointing end to that move for Boya Saints. Or for anyone in those Norwich colours. Another wasted effort once again. At half-time, we'll run through all the half-time scores. We'll also talk about the predictions from Opta, as we did last night, but we'll run you through them again. If you missed them, we'll let you know where they predict each team to finish. We'll also analyse this game. Quick look at the table, and also what's to come over the next few days and weeks on LFS as well. Lots to talk about at half-time. Plus, that bit of breaking transfer news, of course, Tottenham signing Dominic Solanke. We'll talk about that in a moment or two when the half-time whistle goes here at the Kassam Stadium. Nunez. Duffy. To Hanley. Now Marcelino Nunez again. Nowhere to go. Well closed down there by Brannigan. Another throw into Norwich. But again, it's another key component that they're not being given the time and space to play around and giving it all their own way. They are having a tough ask of it at times, Norwich, in this game, as Angus Gunn, under pressure, does well to get it away. We have another goal at Elland Road. We'll get there in a moment. Oxford win it back, though. Nice ball into the box, and the header is... couldn't get his feet right there, Harris. The header was over the bar, but a really good chance. Good break down the right-hand side. Well stepped in by Sam Long. He gets the cross in, and Harris again, no one. I mean, the marking in the box is schoolboy. It's naive from Norwich. I mean, there's no one marking the centre forward at all. And Harris just gets ahead of the ball and he's stretching back to try and head it. If it had been coming on to that, it would have been a really threatening header. But another very good moment for Oxford. As I mentioned, a goal at Elland Road. And Leeds took the lead in the game, but they have seen the tables turned, and it is the newly promoted Portsmouth that have taken the lead this afternoon at Elland Road. Leeds United 1, Portsmouth 2. Callum Lang giving Portsmouth their second of the afternoon and the lead at this moment in time. The newly promoted sides holding their own at this moment. Oxford and Portsmouth both leading in their respective games. Leeds and Norwich, their respective opponents. And it is impressive from the newly promoted sides. It is Leeds 1, Portsmouth 2 at Elland Road. As Norwich try and respond, but that's an awful shot from Boya Saints there. Wasteful effort, to say the very least. They've wasted quite a number of chances in this first half, Norwich. Really, honestly. It's a decent effort, or a decent opportunity. Good cross into the box, and he takes it on the volley. Maybe could take a touch there and try and set it up a bit more comfortably, but kind of gets a bit excited there, Boya Saints, and ends up firing it wide. I'm sure Oxford will take those moments all day long. They would lap those little shots up all afternoon. 30 seconds to go the first half then. Oxford 1, Norwich 0 here at the Kassam Stadium. Elsewhere, there's some big scorelines to tell you about and some big headlines, scorelines, as I mentioned, that Leeds-Portsmouth game at the moment, where Portsmouth leading at this moment in time is a massive, massive storyline. As Oxford get a free kick here around the midfield area, again, given away that time by Marcelino Nunez. Just stretching against Will Volks. A bit late. Nothing malicious in it. And we will have just the one added minute at the end of the first half then. From Andrew Kitchen. Looking to add too much, the referee, on to the end of this first half. Oxford trying threatening behind there. Hanley had that one covered. And Bennett gets absolutely clattered there by Josh Sargent, who's claiming his innocence. And he finds himself on the ground. And that's going to be a yellow card for Josh Sargent as well. I mean, it looked accidental. It didn't look malicious whatsoever from Josh Sargent. It's just a collision with Joe Bennett. I mean, he gets absolutely clattered, but not much malice in it from Josh Sargent, really. But he does get a yellow card for his troubles. First of the game. And he's back to his feet, Joe Bennett, which is good to see after that clash. And Sargent there just checking to making sure he's okay there, Joe Bennett, as we have surpassed the one added minute. Shouldn't have much longer on to the end of this first half then. And they'll have this free kick to take then, just before the half then. Will Volks to take this free kick. Goes short down the line. Placheta, the referee, giving them a bit of time for the moment. But they're not going to do anything with it, because that is the half-time whistle. And it is a half-time lead for newly promoted Oxford against Norwich City. Norwich have been half-hearted this afternoon. They've not been at the level so far under their new manager, Jonas Thorup. But so far they're throwing up very little in terms of good football so far, Norwich. It's Oxford that have been the better side, and they deservedly lead. 25 years in the waiting. They're back in the second tier, and they are leading at the break. Half-time, it's Oxford 1, Norwich 0. Analysis on the way next. To Championship Live. Half-time at the Kassam Stadium. It is Oxford United 1 at Norwich City 0 at the break. And we'll round up all the half-time scores for you in just a second. The second half a number of minutes away, 13 minutes to be exact, because there's the countdown on the screen. Only one game still underway in that first half, and at the moment it is the game that could be calling off the shock of the weekend so far as it stands. It is our match focus game. Leeds United at home to Portsmouth. Newly promoted Portsmouth could be causing a shock at Elland Road this afternoon. It is Leeds 1, Portsmouth 2. Leeds took the lead in that one. Pascal Stroik with the penalty after just 10 minutes. Elias Sorensen then levelled 13 minutes later before Callum Lang, 4 minutes before the interval, gave Portsmouth the lead. It has just gone half-time there at this moment in time, so a lot for Daniel Farker's side to think about at half-time, but at the moment it is Portsmouth that are looking to be riding high, and John Mousinho would be undoubtedly the happier of the two managers at half-time. But the Leeds supports are always there, they're always constant, and I'm sure we'll see an uptick in Leeds in the second half. But they were regarded as the favourites to lift the championship title this season, but it doesn't look like they're going to be getting off to a winning start, but a long second half to come. They actually ended last season in the normal season with a home defeat, and they were beaten on the final day of last season, Leeds, on Matchday 46 at home. And that was certainly not a good end to their season against Southampton. They could have got promotion on the final day if results had gone their way. They didn't in the end, and they also lost themselves. So it was a pretty drab end of the season for Leeds. But they did get playoffs, but they did lose in the playoff final. And at half-time, it is Leeds 1, Portsmouth 2. Right, let's bring you up to date with all the scores then, as we're at half-time in all 8 of our games. Last night we saw Blackburn get us underway for the new season with a 6-goal thriller against Derby County. A 4-2 victory for Rovers, their first home victory under John Eustace as manager. Derby back into the second tier under Paul Warne, but looked weirdly open in the later stages. They had the best defence in League One. But they're going to have a tough task at following suit with that this season. They did, however, continue their goal-scoring prowess from set pieces. Both of Derby's goals last night came from corners, which was something I'm sure John Eustace will be a bit disappointed with. But 4 goals for his side, including 3 substitutes scoring. So-called super subs were involved last night for Blackburn to secure 3 points for their first win of the season. Preston suffered defeat at home on the opening night to newly relegated Sheffield United, relegated from the Premier League, quite cut massively adrift, conceded over 100 goals last season in the Premier League, a new Premier League record in history, a new English top flight record for Sheffield United last season. But they got off to a confident defensive start, keeping a clean sheet away from home at Deepdale last night. 2-0 victory for Sheffield United. Not the most convincing of goals in the end in terms of the cleanest of finishes, but they'll not worry about that. Oliver Arblaster and Gus Hamer, the scorers last night for Sheffield United, to secure victory. Of course, they're only on 1 point, considering they were deducted 2 points at the start of the campaign. So they're on 1 point. They've accumulated 3 points, but of course eradicating that -2 points deduction at the start of the season almost instantly. Then this afternoon, so far at half-time, it's Cardiff City 0, Sunderland 1, Luke O'Nien with the goal there to give Sunderland the lead at the break. It is goalless between Hull and Bristol City there in that one at the MKM Stadium at this moment in time. It's a game that's ebbed and flowed in that first half. Probably Bristol City have had slightly the better of it, but nothing between the two sides in terms of the scoreline at the break. As I mentioned, Leeds 2-1 down at home. They took the lead, as I mentioned, from the penalty spot through Pascal Stroik before back-to-back Portsmouth goals have the visitors Pompey leading Sorensen and Lang with the goals there as Pompey lead 2-1 at the break. Middlesbrough, another one of those hot favourites to be at the upper end of the table and possibly pushing for automatic promotion under Michael Carrick this season. They've also scored from the penalty spot, the only goal of the first half at the Riverside against Swansea. Emmanuel Latte-Lath, who scored quite a number of goals for Middlesbrough last season, popping up and scoring once again from the spots as Middlesbrough lead Swansea by a goal to 0 at the break. Millwall, well, they have started their new season with finding themselves behind at the break. They are 1-0 down at home to Watford. Edo Kayembe under Tom Cleverley as the Watford head coach. Kayembe has given Watford a half-time advantage. The same for Oxford. They're at home. New promoted, as I mentioned, our focus game this afternoon. Oxford 1, Norwich 0. Mark Harris with the goal. They've had multiple other opportunities in that first half. Oxford. Norwich have had half chances themselves, but both missing big opportunities in that first half. We could have had more goals, but just the one in the first half here at the Kassam Stadium. And also QPR 1, West Brom 1. Both sides scoring in that first half at Loftus Road. Lucas Anderson with a nice header gave QPR the lead before Josh Maja 10 minutes later levelled things for the Baggies. Right, so that is the way we stand. And also, just forgot, our last one, the 0-0 between Stoke and Coventry. Nothing to say between those two sides. Stoke have probably been the better side, but nothing to show for it yet. So those are 8 at lunchtime kickoffs, as well as the 2 games from last night. We have 2 more games to come this weekend. Sheffield Wednesday take to the pitch tomorrow as they face Plymouth. Sunday 4 o'clock kickoff before a Monday night coverage is the two of the sides relegated from the Premier League last season, Luton and Burnley. Rob Edwards continues at Luton, and Burnley, a new man in charge. Scott Parker, after Vincent Kompany's departure, sees them face off Monday night at Kenilworth Road under the lights to round off match day 1 of the Championship. So far, it's been very exciting, very entertaining. And so far we've seen quite a number of goals at the moment. As it stands, it will be Blackburn that would lead the way after match day 1. Portsmouth would follow suit in terms of goals scored. Middlesbrough, Oxford, Sunderland and Watford all in that mix, as well as the only teams that are going to have 3 points after match day 1. Of course, Sheffield United have won, but they're on 1 point, of course, due to the fact that they were deducted 2 points at the start of the season. That's the way the table looks at the break, and what's coming up as well. Right, the second half of our lunchtime kickoffs is on the way in a moment, but we're going to talk quickly about the Opta predictions. Now, Opta do this thing at the start of every season. They do those long calculations, those kind of deep calculations of where each team will finish based on lots of simulations over the season, over 10,000 simulations of the Championship season. And with 45% of the time, Leeds United were predicted to finish top as champions of the Championship. They were going to be joined, automatically promoted, alongside Middlesbrough in those predictions. Leeds and Middlesbrough deemed to be the top 2. The 3 sides that were relegated from the Premier League, none of them are deemed to be getting automatic promotion. Burnley, Luton are predicted to get playoffs. Sheffield United pipped to finish 9th this season under Chris Wilder there. So not according to Opta, a good season incoming for Sheffield United. In terms of relegation, as I mentioned, Cardiff and Sunderland a bit earlier on in that mention. Cardiff are predicted to finish bottom of the league with a over 23% chance of finishing 24th in the Championship this season. Plymouth are regarded as the second worst side in the league, closely followed by the team we're watching here right now, who are leading Norwich, Oxford United. According to Opta's predictions, they feel that Oxford will join Plymouth and Cardiff as being sent down to League One. The interesting point is that 2 of the 3 sides that have come up are predicted to stay in the division. Portsmouth and Derby, both sides predicted to stay in the division, 17th and 19th respectively. Sunderland are deemed to be in and around that mix, along with QPR in 20th and 21st. In a relegation battle, looks to be another mid-table season for the likes of Watford, Millwall, Stoke. Sheffield Wednesday improving massively from last season after they were under threat of relegation last season, but saved it on the final day. They're predicted to finish 12th, and the playoff places, as I mentioned, Burnley predicted to finish 3rd, West Brom predicted to finish 4th, Luton in 5th, and Norwich, who we're currently watching as well this afternoon, predicted to finish 6th. They finished 6th last season, Norwich, but they did miss out on any sort of playoff hopes there. They did get playoffs, but they missed out on getting to the final. They lost in the semi-finals, 0-0 at home, and then a 4-0 drubbing at Elland Road in the second leg of the semi-final saw them knocked out of the playoffs, and another season of Championship football for Norwich City. And at the moment, that new season of Championship football is not going their way because they're losing at the Kassam Stadium at the break. The second half is on the way next. Welcome back to Championship Live. This lunchtime, 8 games on currently ongoing. Oxford and Norwich, our focus game at the Kassam Stadium at the moment. It is all half-time at the moment, but the second half will be getting underway in just a moment. Don't forget, tomorrow we have a double-header of commentary action for you. We start with the Scottish Premiership that got underway last weekend. Celtic off with a convincing victory against Kilmarnock. Hibs beaten away from home in their first game away to St Mirren. But both sides will face each other tomorrow, 12:30. Hibs against Celtic from the Scottish Premiership. Right, the second half about to get underway here at our focus game at the Kassam Stadium. But it looks like Norwich might be making a half-time change. It looks like Johannes Thorup is not happy with his side's first half performance. And can you blame him? Because they haven't played particularly well at all, Norwich, in that first half. And they have created half chances, but certainly nothing to really write home about. Oxford have been the better side, and they deservedly lead at the break. But they come out in the second half knowing a tough task of the next 45 minutes to hold on to the advantage that they currently have is going to be the task at hand. And I'm sure Des Buckingham would have mentioned that to his players at half-time to really drill that home and to make sure that they understand in how to do that. So Norwich, I did mention, are going to make a change then at half-time. And Liam Gibbs is going to be the man that makes way. And coming on in his place is going to be Amankwa Forson is going to be the substitution. Amankwa Forson, 21-year-old Ghanaian, joined from Red Bull Salzburg, quite interestingly, yesterday. He joined from RB Salzburg yesterday with a deal worth £3.8 million. Amankwa Forson, and he's already getting his debut in Norwich colours and then looking to make an impact. We saw some debutants on the score sheet last night. The likes of Andrew Vyman and Yuki Ohashi, both scoring on their debuts for Blackburn Rovers last night. We'll see if Amankwa Forson can follow suit in Canaries colours this afternoon. They're not actually in their home colours, of course, Norwich. They're away from in their away kit this afternoon. They're white away kits, of course, because Oxford play in yellow. Kit clash and all that. We are back underway, and Norwich have the ball in their own half, and it's about Norwich building in this second half. It's about building that confidence in the team and getting on the score sheet, crucially. Getting that equalising goal as quickly as possible and just not allowing Oxford to really regain control of the game, because they did in moments in that first half. Oxford, they did control the game. They did have the balance of things perfectly correct, and Norwich were struggling to deal with that at times. And at times, I think Oxford probably could have added to their lead, so they could have had an even bigger advantage at this moment in time than what they actually do as we enter the second half. You know, we had Will Vokes had a couple of chances. Harris had a header just over the bar. So there were some good chances in that first half that Oxford could really kind of take positives from. The fact that their one-goal lead isn't a gifted lead, or it isn't one that they haven't deserved. They have continued to create chances after taking that lead, and it's not one of those ones where it's a fluky moment. They have played it on merit and do lead through a merited first half, a positive first half. And we'll see how they deal with that in the second half under that pressure. As they bomb a ball forward, Volk's a bit unnecessary in that passing, and Norwich get it back, but Sargent loses out in that battle at the back with Kieran Brown. Good pressure from Amankwa Forson, but it will be an Oxford throw, as the last touch did come off a Norwich player. It will be a close battle in this second half between the two sides. Norwich will certainly throw more at it. We'll see if they're able to compete with the level. Of course, as I mentioned, Oxford predicted to be relegated according to Opta, right back down to League One. Norwich predicted to finish in the playoffs, so both sides at opposite ends of the table in terms of predictions and in terms of expectations, but ultimately at the moment it's about what matters in the 90 minutes and in play that is going to show the real quality of these teams. And look, there are surprise packages for a reason. There are teams that you don't think they're going to do well, and they come out with this. They hit the ground running, they get a good run of form at the start of the season, and they build that confidence. Ipswich are the prime example of a team that had no expectations last season under Kieran McKenna, and there was no kind of expectation that Ipswich would be battling up around the top this season. There was an expectation at the start of last season that Ipswich would be battling around relegation and mid-table at the very best, but they got off to a good start. They got off to a competitive start, and they got that good run of form that built that confidence in the side, and they had the quality, of course. You can't do it without the quality in your team, but they got that consistency. They dealt with that confidence really well, and they surprised people, and they're now going to be in the Premier League in less than a week's time, playing Premier League football for the first time in a long, long time for Ipswich Town, and it's great to see. But that's the kind of dream that these newly promoted sides can have at the start of the season. Oxford United, Portsmouth or Derby, I mean, it's maybe somewhat pressure, that maybe the expectations aren't that you'll be heading straight back down and you won't be given as much of an easy ride at it. Possibly, who knows, it maybe adds that little bit of extra pressure onto each team, but also at the same time it gives you that room to believe that you can go for it, that it's a possibility. It's not that it's impossible, that there is a possibility of doing it. Free kick here for Oxford, by the way. Will Vokes will take it on the right hand side. It was given away by Callum Doyle, committing the foul, and a good chance to whip a ball in here. Right, delivery by Vokes, headed away again at the front post, but kept alive. Here's Placheta trying to break into the box, seen away well, although he does keep the ball in possession. Placheta trying to go for the 1-2, good pressing to win the ball back, and it's a bit of a scramble. Long cannot find a pass, and Norwich do get the bodies in the way to get it clear. That was a good moment from Oxford. They kept the ball up the pitch, they kept the pressure on the Norwich defence, and they didn't allow them to break out from that moment. It's good work from Oxford there. Really positive once again. We have a goal at Elland Road to tell you about. First goal of the second half, and it is another goal at Elland Road. They're getting an absolute goals galore fixture there at this moment in time. Oxford will get a corner in the meantime, but it is Leeds that are back at level. Portsmouth did lead at the break, but no sooner did the second half got underway than Leeds had found their leveller. Willie Nonto, who came close to getting a second for Leeds in the first half, has got their leveller to get them back on terms at Elland Road in the second half. 2-2 in that one. Very exciting game at Elland Road there. Very entertaining game at Elland Road. Right, corner for Oxford then, right hand side. Vokes to take, right footed. Bouncing into the box, not cleared away by Norwich. A deflection off the crossbar, trying to head it in off the line. But the flag was up. Goodness me, that was close. I think it was Brannigan that got the header. Just see it again. Good delivery by Vokes, not dealt with by Norwich, completely all over the place. And the shot from Brannigan takes a deflection and it bounces off the crossbar. Really well taken shot by Brannigan. It comes off a Mankwa Forson, falls to the back post for Sam Long, and Long trying to dive in, go for the diving header, but it's cleared off the line. Good moment for Oxford as Norwich trying to respond up the other end. Norwich keeping the attack going, and they will get a corner out of it. That's really good defending back there by Kieran Brown. Had to get back and did his job well. Goal at Loftus Road to tell you about. Queen's Park Rangers and West Brom at this moment in time, and West Brom have turned the tables on that one. They have taken the lead against QPR. It is QPR 1, West Brom 2. Josh Magic getting his second of the game to give West Brom the lead. Corner for Norwich then. The games have flown into action. Corner whipped in. Again, first connection from an Oxford defender as they clear their lines once again. Stacey looking to keep the attack going for Norwich as they have to retreat. Good pressing from Oxford there. That's really impressive. Marcelino Nunez has to pump one forward. A bit of a hopeful ball. And Oxford there to intercept again. They'll get the advantage played as there's a free kick was going to be given. End-to-end football as the ball deep into the box. But just too deep that time from the left-hand side. Goodness me, this game's flown into action. End to end all of a sudden. And it ends up with a Norwich goal kick from that cross, by the way. A man down there for Oxford. Just trying to see who it is. I think it might be Kieran Brown. I have to see, he's back to his feet anyway. It's okay to continue. As I mentioned then, because it was all a bit of a scramble, West Brom have taken the lead against QPR. I can say it in a much more calm fashion. So the 2 goals of the second half. Leeds are back level against Portsmouth, and West Brom are ahead against QPR. Still goalless between Hull and Bristol City at the MKM Stadium, and still goalless between Stoke and Coventry at the Bet365 Stadium. The only 2 games out of our 8 games that are goalless at this moment in time. But I'm sure there's goals incoming elsewhere very, very shortly. It's Norwich looking to build off that energy. Here's Callum Doyle. Across to McLean now. Marcelino Nunez. And thread it through the line, trying to catch out the Oxford midfield, but they got it on a block. And has to come back to Duffy. Doyle. Back to Fastnacht. Now Doyle again. Across to Shane Duffy. Callum Doyle. Norwich are just taking their time, wanting to pass out from the back. It's something that Johannes Thorup was asked about before the game, and kind of his idea of wanting to stamp his football of long possession football and high pressing. Bless me, I just sneezed there. That high pressing, possession and high pressing football is something that he wants to instill in this Norwich side. It takes time, of course, to find those moments and to really build that. And we've seen Norwich struggle with that in moments this afternoon, with holding the ball up and getting away through Oxford. At times, there is a yellow card there was given out to an Oxford player. I didn't see who that was, but I'll get that information to you in a second. Norwich did get the free kick out of that, and they do have the ball on the right-hand side now. Boya Sainz trying to thread it in behind. That's a nice run by Stacey. Jack Stacey over the bar. Although I don't know what they're complaining about there, Norwich. Say it again. Boya Sainz. Bennett just goes to ground, trying to get past, trying to block off Jack Stacey there. I mean, is there any? What are they complaining about? I think he's got the free kick out of it. That's why they're complaining. He did. I didn't think that was a free kick whatsoever. That's a bit strange. On Joe Bennett there, I think he got away with one. I think Jack Stacey was in a very good position, and I think he got there fairly. Didn't think it was a foul, but nonetheless, Oxford got that free kick. They didn't get anything out of it though, because they've handed back possession. Goal at the Den. Watford are looking fluid under Tom Cleverley because they have doubled their lead. It is Millwall 0, Watford 2. Georgi Chakvitadze. Some perform very well for Georgia in the Euros, and Chakvitadze has doubled Watford's advantage in that one at the Den. As Oxford look to break on Norwich here, down the right-hand side comes Goodrum. Now Rodriguez. Goodrum again. Out to Long with a cross. Rodriguez leaves it. The shot, the goal! That's a lovely finish. Cameron Brannigan doubles Oxford's lead. Norwich have been pushing, but Oxford are the ones to get it. 2-0 up in Dreamland on the opening weekend of the Championship season. Fabulous finish by Cameron Brannigan, and they deserve it wholeheartedly. Incredible. Great break down the right hand side. It's Goodrum linking up well with Rodriguez. Rodriguez then finds the overlapping run of Sam Long on the outside, and it's a deep one. Cuts it back low, hard, into the box. Left in the middle. See it again. Left in the middle by Rodriguez. And Cameron Brannigan, no one marking him inside the box. Terrible defending by Norwich. I mean, that's just woeful. Cameron Brannigan taking the advantage of it. Free as you like in the box and just sweeping it with that right boot. Curling it into the corner. Beautiful finish. What a start to the new season for Oxford. Norwich, playoffs are their expectations this season. They were beaten in the playoff semi-finals at the end of last season, and they might, under new manager Jonas Thorup, be starting with a defeat and a trip to Oxford that will end with nothing to show for it, it seems. Oxford 2, Norwich City 0. Wonderful opening weekend scoreline that we're seeing here. Incredible. Incredible. And there was a yellow card given out a bit earlier on. Callum Doyle got a booking for a foul, but also at the same time, Amankwa Forson got a yellow card for what the referee brandished as kind of hinting at wanting a yellow card for someone else. We see it at times, players pulling an imaginary yellow card out of their pocket and waving it at the referee to say, is he getting a yellow card? The referee has booked Amankwa Forson for that type of gesture, and therefore he is also joined Callum Doyle in the book, as well as Josh Sargent. So 3 yellow cards, and all going the way of Norwich players. A worrying sign for the visitors this afternoon. New regime, certainly not off to a honeymoon start, it seems, at this moment in time. But Oxford ended their championship status 25 years ago with a big win at home, albeit they still found relegation at the end of that day. They could be starting their new era in the championship 25 years later, a quarter of a century later, and they could be starting it with a very good result at home to get their new season underway. Changes incoming then from Norwich, so they made one at half time, and I think Jonas Thorup is going to make more. Adam Ida is going to be coming on. He's going to replace Christian Fastnacht, and Grant Hanley is coming off, and Sorensen is coming on. Jakob Lungi Sorensen. So Sorensen and Ida on, Hanley and Fastnacht off. Of course, Adam Ida, was on loan at Celtic last season. Celtic trying to negotiate a permanent deal for the Republic of Ireland international. And we'll see what comes of that in the headlines over the coming weeks and days, whether that can be done over the line. That Celtic certainly desperate to add Adam Ida to their ranks under Brendan Rodgers after he impressed so well last season. And of course will want to fight for his place at Norwich if he can, and this might be the chance to do so. Under the cosh, 2-0 down, wanting to make an impact in the latter stages of this game. 30 minutes or so to go, and it is Oxford that are in a commanding position with a 2-goal lead at home, and they want to add to it. Here they come again, as that ball just a bit short to Goodrum. That time Norwich intercepting. Nunez plays it down the line. Ida off the left hand side, looks to go for the low cross. A bit wasteful because there was no one he was going to target. He was just trying to force it into an area, and Oxford had that covered as Long tries to clear it away. Well held up by Goodrum on the right hand side, and a free kick given there for a foul on Ruben Rodriguez. So a free kick to Oxford. And the goal scoring has kind of dried up a bit in the last few moments around the grounds. Still goalless in 2 of our games this afternoon, and a couple of games still in the balance. Steve Clarke watching on this afternoon, the Scotland manager. Scotland saw a very premature end to their Euros campaign, not getting out of the group. They've never done so. Never got out of the group at a Euros, and they continued that theme at the most recent edition of the competition. And Steve Clarke in attendance here at the Kassam Stadium. He had a choice of a number of games this afternoon, but decided to join us here this afternoon, watching a few of his players, I'm sure. Kenny McLean, Grant Hanley, amongst them that he's watching on. Hanley now taken off the field, so I'm going to be watching him for any more of this game. Norwich at this moment in time not in a good position. I mean, it goes without saying, it's quite obvious, but it's not good to look at, really. It's Forson trying to combine something for them, but Doyle's cross again, more of a heading an area rather than a man, as Volks gets it back to his keeper, and Oxford look really comfortable on the ball. Those little passing lanes, really confident in their link-ups, and keeping that core grouping together is crucial. Elliot Moore coming. Brown. That's lovely from Kieran Brown. Under pressure. And just using his skill, his footwork, fabulous there. Not often you see a centre-back just doing little dinks and touches and flicks around attackers, because it's a very dangerous thing to do, but he was full of confidence there, Brown, and kept Oxford on the ball. And now they're coming forward. Here's Goodrum trying to drive infield. Goodrum chipped across out to Sam Long again. Long looking for an option. Crossed by Volks. Well blocked by Amankwa Forson. Volks will pick it back up though. Long. And back to Elliot Moore. Now Brown. Really good play by Oxford again. The possession is really comfortable at this moment in time. Norwich struggling on that front at this moment in time. Norwich without a shot in the whole of the second half. We've played 20 minutes of the second half, and we're yet to see anything substantial from the Canaries. Doyle tries to chip it in behind for the run of Ida. Adam Ida, edge of the left-hand side of the box. Well, closed down by Long. Back it comes to Doyle. And to go round the corner was Josh Sargent, but no one made that run in behind. And another miscommunication for Norwich sees them lose possession of the ball. Only momentarily though, as Oxford give it back to them. There she is. The icon herself, Delia Smith, the joint majority shareholder of Norwich City. I mean, probably one of the most iconic memes of all time. Let's be having ya. Well, the only thing she'll be having tonight is a pretty dreary dinner, because at the moment it doesn't look like Norwich are going to be getting off to a winning start, unless they do have a miraculous turnaround in the final 25 minutes of this game, but it doesn't look likely at this moment in time. I don't know what they'll be having in their latter stages of this game this afternoon, but they're going to have to up the level if they're going to get competitive. Another goal at Loftus Road. And after early worries of maybe seeing themselves on the end of an early season defeat, West Bromwich Albion have turned it on in the second half, and they have doubled their lead. Now it is QPR 1, West Bromwich Albion 3. And Josh Madge's hat-trick sees them to that point. 3 goals from Madge sees West Brom under Carlos Corberán cruising to victory, it seems, at Loftus Road, but still a while to go. But it is Josh Madge with an opening day hat-trick to secure at least a 2-goal advantage for West Brom at this moment of time. And Oxford want to add to their advantage. Just closed down there was Mark Harris. Again, they're getting bodies and numbers around the ball, Oxford, which again is crucial. Very important at stopping Norwich in their tracks, is getting that pressure on the ball constantly. And they've done so very well in this second half. Amankwa Forson. Ida just takes the heavy touch, letting Norwich not get the ball again. Is the ball over the top there. Goodrum was the target. Norwich were calling for the flag to go up, but at no point did the flag go up. Have to say, Des Buckingham, he must be the only man in Oxford that's got a massive coat on. Why has he got a coat on? It's August. Who wears a coat in August? Unless it's raining, but he's got one of those big, like, Parker coats on. I mean, a Barker coat. I mean, what's the need? I mean, maybe it's his preference. But come on, it's the summer. I'm sitting here sweating. Norwich in possession again. A quarter of this game to go. Here at the Kassam Stadium, and it looks to be a bright day and a sunny day indeed for Oxford at this moment in time. A return to the Championship that looks to be, at this moment in time, could be a winning one. And I was talk about newly promoted sides wanting to get off to the best start possible and get off to a winning start. And it looks like at this moment in time that Oxford are going to be heading in that direction. But of course, time to go and time for that to change, of course. At the moment, elsewhere, looks to be another one of the newly promoted sides will be picking up some sort of points this weekend after the defeat of Derby last night. Looks like the other two newly promoted sides are going to be making up for it. Oxford leading, and Portsmouth away at Leeds United at Elland Road. A tough place to go. It looks like Portsmouth might be getting a point out of that one, although I don't want to scud it or kind of jinx the situation. But at the moment it is Leeds 2, Portsmouth 2. Leeds still controlling and dominating that game. But at the moment they're not finding the lead once again, the home side. It is still 2 apiece. Every time Norwich get on the ball, they just eased off it. Oxford have all the answers to every question that Norwich want to throw at them, and they've got nothing to counter it at the moment, Norwich, and it's really one-dimensional from them. You know, all well trying to enforce your play and your style on the game, but it's all about winning the game that matters at the most. And you don't want to be embarrassed away from home on the opening day of the season. Doyle. Nice ball diagonal down the left-hand side. Ida trying to play it off to Sargent. Sargent, again, well closed down, and Oxford getting bodies around the ball, but Sargent tries to intercept. But again, Oxford calm, composed in their play and in their defending. Head it back to their keeper. Jamie Cumming pretty comfortably there. Again, we've not seen very much of Josh Sargent in the second half whatsoever. Really. Not seen very much of any of the Norwich attackers in the second half, as I mentioned. They're yet to have a shot in the second half, so they're really struggling to get the ball in that final third and make anything of their possession so far, which is pretty lackluster, to be honest. Amanqua Forson tries to change up something, trying to get Norwich on the front foot, but again, Oxford have bodies in the way as they clear their lines. Volks. McLean. Out to the left-hand side of Callum Doyle. Back to Will Volks. The Oxford fans applauding their side along. Again, well closed down by Oxford once more, and Norwich maybe under pressure from a counter here. Break down the left-hand side, incoming. As the shot called, the shot taken by Goodrum, but took a deflection, which took the pace off the ball and allowed Angus Gunn to gather. Playing with freedom now at the moment. Oxford, they're under no pressure, and they're playing with that kind of freedom in their game, where they can take those little shots from distance and feel comfortable about it. McLean. Marcelino Nunez. To Callum Doyle on the left. Well closed down that time though. Again, every time Oxford look under pressure from Norwich in the final third, they've always got bodies around the ball and always getting those little stray legs in to make those blocks to stop those passes heading through into the threatening areas. As Oxford are going to make a change then. It's going to be Placheta that's going to come off. He gets a round of applause from the home stand, from the home crowd, and a standing ovation as he leaves the field, and Idris El Mizuni is going to be his replacement. And Placheta, of course, the former Norwich man, played well against his former club. Heavily involved, and he's been replaced by El Mizuni. Very positive from the left winger there for Oxford. The man who replaces him, Idris El Mizuni, the Tunisian, 23-year-old Tunisian, joined Oxford a month ago yesterday, 9th of July, for £400,000 from Ipswich. He was on loan at Leyton Orient last season, for the full of last season. Actually, back-to-back loans at Leyton Orient. Was a player at Ipswich and was sold for £400,000 to Oxford at the start of this season. As that's a little lunge from Rodriguez, and that gets him a yellow card. It's just a bit sliding there, Ruben Rodriguez, and it's nothing more than a yellow card, just a late one. And Rodriguez sees himself in the book, joining a couple of other players. The first Oxford player this afternoon to enter the book of referee Andrew Kitchen. A goal at the Den. Making sure that's the right stadium, yes. A goal at the Den. And it's not so plain sailing indeed for Watford anymore. Millwall have got one back, and they're certainly not going down without a fight. In the first game of the season at home, Millwall have got one back, and then Duncan Watmore has got them back into the game. So it is Millwall 1, Watford 2, and the final stages of that one could be pretty close. Nothing to say the very least. 15 minutes to go here at the Kassam Stadium, and Norwich are going to make another change of their own at this moment in time. Marcelino Nunez is going to be coming off, and Abu Kamara is going to be coming on in his place, the Englishman. So that is going to be another change incoming for Norwich City. Marcelino Nunez making way for Abu Kamara, the 21-year-old Englishman, joined on loan from, was on loan at Portsmouth last season. Abu Kamara came through the ranks at Norwich from the youth team. So he had League One experience last season, and a winning side, and a promotion-winning side of Portsmouth. He's back in Norwich, back in the Norwich ranks, and hoping that he can force his way into the team and maybe help Norwich into getting themselves up the table and pushing towards a playoff place. Long way to go in the season, though. 46-game season. We said it at the start of the season last night, and we'll say it all the way throughout this weekend. It's a marathon, not a sprint in this division. 46 games is a long season, and it's one that we will follow all the way through. Right, the final stages, the final 15 minutes of all of our games this afternoon. Let's just round you up where we are and where we stand. Cardiff are 1-0 down still against Sunderland. Hull and Bristol City, nothing between those two, it's still 0-0. Leeds and Portsmouth still locked at 2 apiece. Middlesbrough still lead Swansea, but after their first half penalty, they're 1-0 up. Millwall 2-1 down at home to Watford. Oxford 2 up against Norwich. West Brom 3-1 up away at QPR, and still goalless between Stoke and Coventry. Are there late goals to change the outcomes of the opening weekend games here in the Championship? 8 games all coming to a conclusion fairly shortly, and we'll see what the final results are, what the big headlines of this weekend will be. At the moment, the big headline will be our game we're watching at this moment in time for the newly promoted sides, and also Leeds Portsmouth at the moment. 2 sides newly promoted, impressing, scoring goals and getting results, it seems, out of their opening weekend results. Derby losing out away from home, but all 3 newly promoted sides have scored 2 goals in the opening weekend, which is a positive sign that they can score goals, and they have the quality to score goals in this division. As Kenny McLean gets in a bit of a bother with Callum Doyle, and they get in a bit of a muddle and end up giving the throw-in cheaply away to Oxford, which gets a rising cheer and roar from the crowd inside the Kassam Stadium. this afternoon. I have to say, Norwich have looked really nowhere near it at all this afternoon. They've not been at the level whatsoever. You know, we talk about it being a tough game and coming away from home and a new team, an unknown kind of prospect, an unknown quantity in the new league season in Oxford. But at the same time, if Norwich want to be a playoff team, they need to be winning these games, or at least getting something out of these games away from home. And they could have had a good chance there, but Jack Stacey's shot is deflected behind. Really good break down the left-hand side. Ball over the top. Chested by Ida, really good. Skips it across the box. And no one gets on the end of it, and it just rolls its way to Jack Stacey, who's running onto the ball, looking to strike it. And the strike takes it low, but a fantastic block in the box. In there by Joe Bennett. And he puts it behind for the corner. Fighting to the death for every single challenge. We have a goal at the Bet365 Stadium. We'll get there in a moment. Corner for Norwich. Could they get back into this one? That could be a bright spark moment. Corner whipped in. The header is wide from Sorensen. As I mentioned then, a goal at the Bet365 Stadium. And it has come the way of the hosts. Stoke City have taken the lead in that one. And they are 1-0 up against Coventry. Coventry under Mark Robbins. It looks like they're going to be under a lot of pressure early doors in this season. Lewis Baker has given Stoke the lead with around 10 minutes or so to go. A bit of a job for Coventry to do if they want to get something out of that game late in the game in that one. Right, so we're coming to a close in the majority of our games this afternoon as we enter the final 10 minutes of this game here between Oxford and Norwich. 2-0 to the home side. League 2 action at 3 o'clock and League 1 action at 5:30. The day is full of EFL football this afternoon as the opening weekend gets underway, and we will have all the updates from the Championship all throughout the weekend. 2 commentaries upcoming tomorrow and Monday. One tomorrow, one on Monday night for you, so you'll not miss a single moment of Championship action all the way throughout this weekend here on LFS. Oxford still threatening, still wanting to cause a threat in behind. Still asking Norwich questions at this late stage. And I think it's quite smart from them, because if they do step off the mark and just allow Norwich to have a bit more of the ball late in this game, they nick a goal, Norwich, and they would believe they could go for another, and they could see, Oxford could see their 3 points turn into 1 point very, very quickly. So they do need to keep themselves at the highest level of concentration. Ida looking to lift it into the box again. The cross, well matched, well marshalled, well cleared away. That's good work from Kamara though, on the spin. Finds Boya Sainz, looking to break free, but he's got great defending in the way. But the referee says no foul as the shot comes in from Forson, and it's straight into the hands of Jimmy Cumming. I'm trying to see who that was defending. That was fabulous defending against Boya Sainz. Incredible. I think it was Joe Bennett. It was on that left-hand side, really battling hard. And then the ball comes back to Amankwa Forson, who got free and just tried to take it from the narrow angle, but comfortable enough for the Oxford keeper to gather. As there's a Oxford player on the ground, it's Cameron Brannigan, who at the moment could have got the most crucial goal of the afternoon. That second goal to consolidate that lead, to extend that lead for Oxford in this game, is receiving treatment at the moment. Time to tell you then, tomorrow lunchtime we have a commentary game for you in the Scottish Premiership. Champion Celtic got off to a winning start last weekend at home against Kilmarnock. Pretty comfortable 4-0 victory. They head to Hibs. Hibs, who were beaten comfortably 3-0 away from home last weekend. They face each other tomorrow, 12:30 on LFS. Des Buckingham and his assistant are all in conversation at the moment as Cameron Brannigan is back to his feet. By the way, I forgot to mention, if you missed any of our commentary highlights from last night's game, the opening night of the new season, that video is now available and live on the channel at Blackburn against Derby. That 4-2 victory for Rovers last night. If you want to see our commentary highlights of that one, it's on the channel right now. Do go and watch it. It would be greatly appreciated. And I'm sure you will enjoy it. 7 minutes of enjoyment. Full of goals, full of excitement, full of drama. Last night, I think Brannigan's going to be coming back on. He should be okay. Looks to be okay. Just getting a view of the one end of the stand here. Of course, this iconic stadium, it's got only 3 stands. Of course, one side doesn't have a stand. It has a massive scoreboard and a view of a car park and a cinema in the background. All you could see. A bit of sightseeing at the Kassam Stadium, but not a stand. They were going to build a temporary 4th stand, but they decided against it. Money was too much for Oxford, so they betted against that and decided against that in the end. Got a good view of the car park though. Pick out a couple of cars in there. Goal at the MKM Stadium. The only game that is goalless no more. And Hull, who, I mean, have the Tigers lost their bite, has been the kind of talk of the pre-season. Well, it's not them that have the bite at this moment in time. It's Bristol City, because they have taken the lead at the MKM this afternoon, and Fali Mayulu has given Bristol City the lead inside the final 6 minutes of that game. They could have just snatched it at the death, Bristol City, as they lead by 1-0. Change incoming. Ruben Rodriguez is going to be replaced by Greg Lee. So Greg Lee is coming on to replace Ruben Rodriguez for Oxford. They're a couple of minutes away from returning to the Championship with a victory, which will be, I'm sure, massively celebrated around the Kassam this afternoon at the final whistle, and also around the city of Oxford. Of course, with these sets of fans, very proud of their club. And of course, a moment in history, of course, to remember, as just on the pitch, Greg Lee there, absolutely battered out there by Jakob Sorensen. Really unnecessary that at all from the Norwich centre-back. Came clattering through and got none of the ball, but all of the man. And Sorensen is the next one to be booked. Seen quite a number of those late challenges this afternoon. It's pretty unnecessary. The clock is ticking, and it is getting ever closer for Oxford. Return to the Championship could be a winning one. At the moment, that seems to be the case, it seems. We will see in these latter moments. A couple of minutes to go. We're keeping an eye, of course, on all the rest of our games this afternoon still at this stage, as Oxford break down the right hand side. They want to add to this. Here's Goodrum. Run out of room. Doyle had him covered. It will be a corner though to Oxford. Fabulous. Absolutely fabulous again. Just the wide areas is where Norwich have really struggled to cover over Oxford all afternoon. They've had no answer for the questions and the problems that Oxford have given Norwich down that right hand side. We'll see this corner and then we'll head to Ellen Road to get an update on that one for the moment, because that's one of our other focus games this afternoon. Vokes to deliver into the box. It's not cleared away in the shot. Bit of pinball in there as Norwich do clear their lines, but that got worrying and nervy for a moment there. For Norwich, they couldn't get it away, but that's again really threatening on a set piece again. Vokes to deliver back into the box. Lee to cut it across and straight into the hands of Angus Gunn, but another threatening moment for Oxford. We're going to go to Elland Road in a moment, where there's been another goal at the Den. I said Millwall are not going to go down without a fight this afternoon at home on the opening day of the season. Well, they've got a leveller from 2-0 down, back to 2-2. Millwall's fighting spirit has answered again, and they're on level terms. It is Millwall 2, Watford 2, with mere minutes to go in that one. The goal scorer in that one, Duncan Watmore, single-handedly rescuing a point, it seems, for Millwall at home after that dreadful summer that they would have had after losing their goalkeeper in the summer, and that energy and that atmosphere and that belief in the Millwall side. I mean, they're the what we call the draw merchants in this division, and you set them up 2-0 down, you know there's always going to be a chance that Millwall are going to try and draw this game. And at the moment, it is 2-2, and they're on course to do so. They could go for the winner if they want. There's time, more than enough time, and that will be some comeback. Here come Oxford. They want to add a third to theirs. Here's Greg Lee down the left-hand side, looking for the cross, and Goodrum was raging at the back post, couldn't find it. Really good pressure down that right-hand side, or the left-hand side. Greg Lee, really good run, and it was actually El Mizuni at the back post stretching for it, just couldn't reach it. Goal kick. We have another goal. You would not believe this. You would have another goal at the Den, and no sooner did Millwall level the game than they find themselves back behind again. Watford have got a third, and that is a fabulous moment. Incredible. What a game. Mileta Rajovic with the goal that could win the game for Watford. They have given away their lead completely, and they have got it back literally 90 seconds after losing it. 4 added minutes here at the Kassam Stadium. There's another goal at the Cardiff City Stadium to tell you about as well. Sunderland have led for the vast majority of the game, and it doesn't look like that lead's going anywhere anytime soon, because they've just doubled their lead. They're now 2-0 up away from home. Jack Clark doubling Sunderland's lead. Clark and 09 the scores that could see them victory in Wales this afternoon away to Cardiff this lunchtime. Now, we can eventually get to Elland Road. It is Leeds 2, Portsmouth 2. No real interest to update you on anything, really. The game's kind of gone a bit flat in the last 5-10 minutes. Leeds have dominated the game, and probably deservedly on the balance of things, probably should be winning. But a really good play from Portsmouth with a little amount of possession and a little amount of control they've had. They've taken their chances. 3 shots in total in this game, Portsmouth, and they have scored 2 goals. Compare that to Leeds United, who have got 20 shots, and they are level. There is a penalty at the MKM Stadium. Hull, a chance to rescue a point in the late stages. Everything happening. The shot, the goal, the penalty converted. Hull are back on level terms. Oscar Estupinian with the leveller gives Hull the equalising goal. And the MKM Stadium sees the Tigers bounce back from going behind, and it is 1-1 there in the latter stages. A 91st minute penalty, 4 added minutes in that one, and in the 91st minute, Hull are back on terms, and they want to change the outcome of this, and they want to get the 3 points rather than just the singular point. We'll find out. It's all happening in the last few minutes of these games. 2 minutes to go here at the Kassam Stadium, and we cannot understate this enough. We cannot emphasise this enough. Oxford back in the second tier of English football for the first time in 25 years since 1999. Their first championship game this century, and they are going to be beating Norwich City on the opening day. Norwich, who were in the championship playoffs last season, they were battling for a Premier League position last season. That wasn't to be. They lost in the semi-finals of the playoffs. But Norwich, a very tough opposition. But Oxford have made it their own today. They've been the better side. They've got their 2 goals. And it looks like they're going to get their 3 points at the very first time of asking. They ended their championship campaign 25 years ago with relegation. A 5-0 home win wasn't enough to keep them up. But they're going to be returning to the championship after a quarter of a century, and they're going to be returning with a win. And the man that opened the scoring today, Mark Harris, has just been replaced by a substitute there. Gatlin O'Dunker has come on to replace him for the last minute or so of this game. We'll stay with you right till the very final whistle in all 8 of our games this afternoon. We're going nowhere because there is drama everywhere, and we don't know what the outcome of a vast majority of these games will be. We will round them all up in a few moments, including all the headlines of this afternoon, because there are some big ones and some very entertaining ones as well to bring you in the last few moments. We'll also look at the table that is starting to take shape after 10 games will be played in the Championship at the final whistles. But just seconds to go, and Norwich will get a free kick. This will be all they will take away from this game today. Waiting on that whistle. Anticipated. There it comes. A generation since the last time Oxford United tasted victory in the second tier of English football, and at the very first time of asking on their return to the Championship, they are back with a win. 3 points, a clean sheet and a 2-0 victory. A pretty perfect afternoon and return to the Championship for Oxford United. Norwich really look nowhere near it. They have been tasked with looking to follow up with a playoffs defeat last season. They want to be back in the playoffs, but they've already started on the back foot. Wonderful day here at the Kassam Stadium, because Oxford are back, and they're back with a bang. Final score at the Kassam Stadium: Oxford United 2, Norwich City 0. Right, elsewhere it is just finished between Middlesbrough and Swansea. Middlesbrough have won away at Swansea, but there is drama once again at Ellen Road. You will not believe it. Ellen Road was hoping that their side could start the new season after disappointment in the Championship final last season with a victory. It looks like they're going to be leaving with nothing. Portsmouth have stolen it at the death. Inside added time, Callum Lang with a penalty in the 92nd minute of 5 added minutes could have just won it for Portsmouth. What a day it will be for them in returning to the second tier of English football. Portsmouth back as one of the newly promoted sides, and they could be causing the upset of the weekend. A trip to Ellen Road no one would have wanted after Leeds' incredible form at home last season. But it looks like Portsmouth are going to say that means nothing to us, and we're going to turn you over at the very first time of asking. And it looks like Portsmouth are about to do that. We will await and see. So, it is Leeds 2, Portsmouth 3 in that one. What an incredible game we have witnessed at Ellen Road as well. At this moment in time, it is just finished between Stoke City and Coventry. Stoke left it late, but they did get their one goal. It was enough to see them through. Lewis Baker with the winning goal to give Stoke an opening day 3 points in that one. So those games have come to a conclusion. Middlesbrough, Stoke and Oxford all getting home victories with clean sheets to go with them on the opening day. A couple of games still in the balance, a couple of games with one goal in it. At this moment in time, Leeds will be the shock of the weekend if they do end up losing this game. There's still time in the game to play, but it looks like they're going to be falling to defeat. Hull have rescued a point, a 91st minute penalty converted by Estupiñán. Looks to have rescued a point for Hull City against Bristol City. 1-1 in that one. It has just finished. 4 games still underway at this moment in time, which we can bring you the latter stages of. We have another goal. I genuinely can't believe this. There's another goal at Ellen Road. And believe me, do not count anybody out. Do not say that anything is decided when we hit 90 minutes. Added time, anything can happen, and anything has happened. Both teams at Ellen Road have scored in added time. Leeds have rescued a point, it seems, again, as they break into the box, and that is a shot from the edge of the box. I'm trying to see who scored it. Looks like it's Brendan Aronson, who got engaged in the midweek, and he is engaging with the goal scoring at Elland Road. I mean, I wouldn't blame those Leeds fans if they're going to get on kind of mental health tablets, because that is incredible. Up and down, the emotions, you don't know what to feel for them. This afternoon, Portsmouth on Clyde 9 for a matter of moments, but Leeds, as they always do, they leave it late, and they always have one final say before the final whistle, and Leeds might have just rescued a point to 3-3. Incredible. QPR have been beaten at home by West Bromwich Albion. Josh Madge's hat-trick in the over the both halves look to have got the 3 points there indeed for West Bromwich Albion. In that one, the Baggies off to a winning start. Also elsewhere, Sunderland off to a winning start after they beat Cardiff 2-0 away from home. O'Neill and Clark, the scorers there, as Cardiff beaten at home on the opening day of the season. But two games still ongoing. Millwall-Watford, Leeds-Portsmouth. Millwall desperate for a late equaliser like Leeds, or Leeds, could they threaten for a late winner? Or Portsmouth, who knows? At this late stage, it could be anybody's game. They're into the 10th minute of added time at the Den, and Millwall have a free kick, edge of the box. This could be their moment. This could be their chance. The shot hits the wall, still alive, edge of the box. Ball lifted into the box, it's headed on, and it's off the crossbar. But the flag was up anyway against the Millwall player there. So nothing comes of that. It looks like that will be that, and it might be an opening day defeat at the Den for Millwall after they came from 2-0 down to rescue a 2-2 scoreline. Duncan Watmore with both goals for Millwall. But in the end, it looks like Watford might have the final say in Mileta Rajovic, who has what at the moment would be the winner. Leeds, Portsmouth, 3-3 at Elland Road. Time still going. 7 minutes they've played. They had initially 5 added minutes. Brendan Aronson scored in the 5th minute of added time. We're into the 8th minute now with those goals being scored. So it's at the referee's discretion as to when this game ends. Is there going to be a winner in this one, or will it be a draw? Because it's come very close. Final score at the Den, Millwall 2 at Watford 3. So Millwall beaten on the opening day. Watford get that victory, and what a chance for Leeds United. That is a huge moment. Head and hands type of stuff. That is agonisingly close. Leeds break forward through the middle, and the shot in the box. Brendan Aronson, who's just scored the equaliser, drags narrowly wide, agonisingly wide for Leeds United, and that could have been a winner. It would have been the most dramatic of dramatic endings at Elland Road. We're waiting the final whistle there, so while we take a breath, let me just round you up the rest of the scorelines. Blackburn beat Derby by 4-2 yesterday. Sheffield United also got victory on the opening day away at Preston. Sunderland this afternoon in our 8 games, they kicked off and they got the victory to start the day 2-0. Hull and Bristol City drew 1-1. It is finished at Elland Road. It is ended in a draw. Leeds 3, Portsmouth 3. I'm sure Leeds will take a draw now after being behind twice in the game. Rescued both times to get a draw. Middlesbrough 1-0 winners at home to Swansea. Watford winning 3-2 away from home. Oxford, one of the stories of the weekend, winning 2-0 at home against Norwich in their return to the Championship. West Brom 3-1 winners away at QPR. And Stoke City rounding off our afternoon with a 1-0 victory against Coventry. Each game had a goal, each game had drama and excitement, no more so than at Elland Road. Believe me when I tell you, every single time there's a game at Elland Road, when it's close, believe you me, there will be a goal in added time. Today, we saw 2 goals in added time, and surely a deserved draw for Portsmouth. Hard fought, but deserved draw at the very least for Portsmouth out of that one. If they'd have lost that game, it would have been the most devastating end to their afternoon. Right, so let's just show you then what that does to the table at the end of this afternoon then. Blackburn lead the way on goals scored, closely followed by West Brom in 2nd, Sunderland in 3rd, Oxford in 4th, Watford 5th, and Middlesbrough in 6th. The only other team that got 3 points this weekend is Stoke. Sheffield United did get 3 points, but of course they're only on 1 point after their 2-point deduction at the start of the season. Portsmouth, Leeds, Bristol City and Hull, the 4 teams, all drawing this afternoon. The teams there in the middle, as you can see, without a result so far in our 2 games that we've still got to come this weekend. Burnley, Plymouth, Sheffield Wednesday and Luton all in the middle of the table there, but that can all change with our victories tomorrow, results tomorrow. Millwall, Coventry, Swansea, Derby, QPR all just outside those relegation places. Cardiff, Norwich and Preston all occupy those places, all losing on the opening day. That's it from the Championship action this afternoon. We have been breathless all the way through. Lunchtime victories and lunchtime drama once again. The Championship is back, and it is back with an absolute flurry of goals. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon. We're back with Hibs against Celtic tomorrow from 12:30, followed by another Championship offering at Hillsborough. But for now, thanks for your company. Have a great afternoon. Bye-bye.